This is your daily market review for Thursday, December 29th, 2022. Let's go. Hey everyone, this is my channel to help investors and traders develop a probability-based mindset to succeed. Also try and keep friends informed of what's going on in the markets and the economy, and also a little real estate content as well. This is Dan Max at eXp Realty, aka the Trading Agent. This is your daily market review for Thursday, December 29th, 2022. Penultimate day of the trading year, correct? Yes. Let's get into it. As we expected, Santa Claus was coming to town. It's just you don't know at time. Now, again, a lot of people ask questions about, why we talk about certain things as, swing trades with seasonality based. And, we're having this conversation on the Discord room. And the hardest part is understanding why the Stock Traders Almanac works. It's because seasonality of reoccurring flows in the market and repeating patterns. Now, are we always correct? Do I trade off of it and know that I'm going to be correct 1,000% of the time when I trade off of recurring patterns, seasonality, times, earnings, end of the year, whatever, end of the month, end of the quarter, all these little things that you get from trading for 20 years and picking up on these nuances, are they correct? No. However, they give you a path, they give you an understanding, they give you processes to anticipate what might happen, because trading against them has been typically wrong. And that's the thing. You only know that from back testing this and doing this for a long time and realizing like, whoa, you fight the seasonality, you fight the earnings, movements, potential, all these little things, it typically is wrong. Now, again, is it always? No. It's just, again, we're probability-based traders. The probabilities we try to go with. Now, again, bullish, bearish, long-term, near-term, seasonality, just keep in mind. The whole trade is premise is what? Up to the New Year's, new money, Christmas rally, whatever you want to call it. When does it start? Every year it's a little different, but there's a rally that new money seasonally comes in every year at the start of the year. If you're not familiar with it, research it. We'll talk about it and give you more information as well, but here to help. Let's dig into it. Again, congrats on the Discord room. I think a lot of people will get frustrated by CHOP and showed in the early morning review like, hey, there's if you didn't like CHOP now, you probably hated the CHOP in the September-October timeframe, and this is a lot more mellow. So again, I appreciate everyone following, comments, keeping up on Twitter. I mean, posted everything that we're up to today. Talked about hitting the high of the day, where it would pull back, hit that. Talked about Tesla, where it might get up to before it takes a break. Yeah, got there, 123s. I mean, it's just, we're posting a lot of content to keep you informed. Just hold yourself accountable. Again, I post this stuff, try to help, but you have to execute it. I can be wrong. Don't sit here and go, well, Dan said this, it has to be right. Don't believe that. Be the owner of the market around your plan. If you're newer and you're like, what the hell is a lot of the stuff he's talking about? There you go. Educational trading videos, all here. All here about all this stuff. Stops, time frames, pro and novice gaps, all the good stuff. So, in that, let's get into it. Bitcoin, man, dead. I mean, I've said this. I mean, I've traded gold for almost 20 years now too, and now you realize gold at times just is dead. If Bitcoin is becoming a currency, it probably is not going to be as volatile. Store of wealth, it will be volatile at some point. We all know that. So at this point, what do you do, right? It's probably better to be left alone. Just like there's some trades that I might have to admit to myself, you got to leave them alone. If you want to buy it down here, this is the thing that I just warn people. Don't be surprised if it goes nowhere. But you got a good reference. So that's the thing. Be patient. It's patient. So hard. Natural gas. Speaking of references, here you go. Again, I love to give credit for people who showed me something I may have missed and I'm wrong. As Sonny said last year, hey, look at the choppiness in natural gas to end the year. Well, look at them apples. Here you go. Bigger ranges, but same thing. Back at support. If you want to buy nat gas, be careful. Remember, the UNG deteriorates, but the levels make sense, right? Oil, not surprised. It goes up, pulls back, goes up, pulling back. We'll see. I mean, I personally said the issue with the market's likely going to resolve around commodities and oil at some point, because that's what's going to push interest rates ultimately higher and the Fed to have to correct more. I think they're getting close to their terminal rate. But then does that cause a recession? A lot of unknowns. Again, trade the market as is. If you've been in cash since we recommended last year and you ever wanted to add some back on dips, I understand. I will be doing so on the first major dip because I don't know how deep this recession is, but just glad to have sidestepped a lot of the mistakes and miscues that could have resolved itself if you didn't. All right, back to oil again. I apologize. Watch the action. Talked about this being the head and shoulders bottom. Where's the next retest point? Clearly 83. Just watch what happens when it gets there. All right, let's get into some of the other names. Trying to make these videos quicker. Dollar, what do we say? Not surprised it bounced. It's in our chop zone. I guess we can expand our zone. Expand the zone, auto zone, whatever. Something like this, right? I mean, again, you draw it as it plays out. We talked about getting down here. Remember, nobody on planet Earth was calling for this to drop, hence why it felt likely it would drop. And here you go. Back at range, our projected targets. I thought the 200-day, this old trend line, low 28s. Well, guess what? Low 28s, upper 27s. Damn, Dan, you suck. Well, no, we talked about this zone. And again, I just moved the zone down a little bit, but we expect the 28 area when it started dropping. Now we're there. I expect the dollar to resolve higher in time, but that doesn't necessarily mean it has to happen this week, next week, or even the following week. Just keep that in mind. Good old TLT. Signs of life. Talked about this morning, like the market has, and the bond market have looked very similar. Well, the TLT had a higher low today and a slightly higher high. Again, the 50-day acting as resistance. Worth monitoring. Because again, if the bond yields come down, I think the market's going to like it. We've talked about this. Bond yields typically go down when you get into a recession and the market is dumping. However, if yields go from what they were to 6%, 5%, whatever bond you're looking at, and they come back down, and now they chop back to a higher low, I mean, this might be signifying like the terminal rate being priced in for the Feds, right? Keep that in mind. We don't know. I mean, do I think interest rates go higher at some point? Probably. But could they go lower just as easily? Yeah, if the market implodes and dumps, I mean, I still think the TLT will get bought. Remember, that's what happened. Oh, but the government, United States is over. Okay. Don't know. I don't know. Again, you trade what you see and you trade based on what you know. This seems like accumulation that now is looking a little more distributive as it made a novice gap and pulled back. But here you're back at support somewhere down here in the 100 area. Just be smart. The VIX. Again, every bear and their mom expecting the market to tank. And it's like, what is the VIX doing? It's showing you nothing. It's showing you, again, everyone's buying these puts. I mean, puts. Everyone's buying puts. That's the problem. No one buys puts at what is considered the highs. No, they buy them at the lows. The market maker's then going to do what? Stuff them in your rectum, and you're going to get wrecked. That's what they want. They want people buying puts at inflection points. They're not buying puts up here. They're buying calls, and down here they're buying. See how this works? Near term, chop. Now let's talk about the seasonality effect, because I mean, again, as much as I, have to be completely transparent all the time, which is part of the game, which I love to be, because I want people to see, like, I make mistakes. I'm not always right. I just love how certain people get really frustrated when you say Santa Claus is coming to town at some point. Oh, and they're going, oh, look, you're wrong. And it's like, am I really wrong or just chopping? Because, again, that's the hard part. Like, I would argue you could be wrong. I could be wrong. I mean, here, and whatever, if you're bearish, bullish, this is just chop. However, today's gap up, just like this one I said earlier, you need to see continuation the following day, which would be obviously tomorrow. Do we get it? Do we get it? That's the question. I took a little bit of profits today. I mean, we literally got right to the top of this like near-term range that I've had saved for a while. Just a little bit. I mean, took anything you bought yesterday, SPY stuff that you bought on discounts. I hope you took some profitos, right? Like, that's the goal here. It's not to just sit here and just assume that straight line move all the time, because if it pulls back, I'll add some dips. If it doesn't, I'm feel great too. I mean, it's just a part of the thing. Like, we have some positions that I'm underwater on. Well, guess what? I'm trying to get some more back to even, but now if I have some profits and then now I have some cash and we do pull back, I can adjust. And if it does pull back, well, then again, I can minimize my loss. Like, it's a win-win when you trade around your positions. I just don't think people get that. They're all or nothing traders, and they learn all or nothing losses. That's all they know. They just don't get it. QQQ said this yesterday. Watch the 260 when it got down there. You're welcome. Look at the bounce. This is pretty quick, pretty fast, y'all. I mean, again, I don't know if we're getting back up here. Wouldn't be surprising if at all we're just in a big chop zone. Watch my previous videos from October, and I said, watch what happens to tech. Remember this big-ass choppy, sloppy zone? Are we into one of those? Gosh, I don't know. I don't know. But at this point, if you're short, you got to take, again, trade around your positions. If you want to keep some longer dated shorts, great. But don't be surprised if you get a short covering rally at some point, okay? Just please be thoughtful. Like, you can't assume one direction, like the band all the time, or whatever that boy group is, baby group. IWM talked about again, said, hey, this close, I mean, again, go watch the recaps. You'll be like, oh, did you really say that? I'm like, yes. I'm very consistent because I'm trading on what I'm telling you. Said, watch the IWM. If it follows through tomorrow down, we got problems. What did it do today? Gapped up, closed over yesterday's high. Over these multi-day ranges. Does that look bearish? No. F no. DIA, we talked about this one again. Just holding up high and tight. Wasn't looking that bad. Here you go, chopping at the 50-day. All this stuff. You know, and this is the thing. People are like mocking, like, things that aren't bearish. Ha, ha, ha. Look, the market's tanking. I mean, I don't know what evidence you're looking at. We're trying to present it all as is with no bias. And again, if it's not conclusive, I mean, I guess that's how you can see why this action might confuse you or lead you to a position where I guess you just assume it's going to go down because you ignore seasonality, you ignore reoccurring patterns. I get it. If it works, then you were gambling on the one-off move, and that's hard. That is hard, y'all. Gold. Gold. I've said this. The easy move was when we told you, I mean, go watch it. Extreme buy down here. Said you have to buy this. Said it made no sense that it would look below and fail and then come right back and then the gap up. Professional gap. Zing, 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 zing. Took some profits at this old zone right here. You can go, but let me back it up. You can see with support in the past, resistance in the past. And said, we'll probably get to the 200-day at some point, and then boom. You get to the 200-day, took the profit. Now what? Chopping. It looks bearish, but high and tight ain't bearish. So we'll see what happens. Now again, seasonality was the mid-December pullback. All gold had was the mid-December chop. I personally am not shorting it, but if you think the market is going to get rear-ended, crash, smash at some point, gold's not going to be safe. Gold's not going to be safe, but we'll see what happens here. I mean, everything is probability based. At this point, if you're shorting because silver's lagging, the market's, you know, these names look laggy. I get it. Just see what happens. You know that just don't let them start making new highs. If you're getting near the highs because you have references, tight. Very tight. Very good. Very nice. Whatever. GDX. Boom. Let's keep going. Same thing, lagging. I can see why you're short gold or you're thinking about, like, the miners are not hanging out with the market at highs, but you could also argue that they are hanging out because they are closer to the highs. They're just chopping. GDXJ didn't really follow up today. Was surprised by that. Okay. You got your references. I mean, these trades now are very simple if you are shorting. They're very simple. I mean, you've got very clear references. You had very clear references. Moving right along, AG. This is another thing. Like, again, I can understand the bearish side. Like, this stock, miners lead. Well, this stock is silver's up here, AG's down here. Not good. AEM holding up at the highs. See what happens. This 0.618, of course, becomes a problem. We'll see if high and tight is good. High and tight's good for bulls. Like, low and tight is good for bears, right? Chop then happens. And that's what I mean. The high and tight action. Anyway, point being, Newmont, dog crap. Holding the 20-day, not making new highs. Okay, we'll see. PAAS. Pan American Silver. What you got, dog? Nothing. I mean, just chopping. I mean, you've got references. I just don't know. I mean, again, these names, if you're short from the highs, it makes sense. If you're trying to watch every day and every 10 minutes trying to predict the next candle, I think it's going to be a struggle. I don't have the patience. I can't do it. I promise that. AMD, we talked about the 62 level. Look at that. Look at that. Held. It retested, though. Now it's back over. We'll see. Again, all this stuff is due to bounce. I'm not expecting new highs, and if it is, that's the surprise, but expecting the bounce we talked about. Even NVIDIA got down into the 140 zone. How about them apples? How about them apples, Matt Damon? Okay. Gap up. We'll see. I mean, it needs more fall through, but here's again, we're getting into SMH. right? Like we talked about like this area filling, again, because it's technically like filling the gap. The gap's right here, but getting into this range, and the blue zone goes a little below it. Gap up. Knocked out the last 3 days of bears. That's not bearish. We'll see. Apple. This was Adobe and then Apple, because Apple's got me excited for bulls potentially, because it makes sense. We talked about high and tight. Here's another name. High and tight, choppy. Probably going to go higher if the market rolls up. Adobe to Apple. We said once the 125, 126 area, it is old support. What are you talking about? Why do you draw all these stupid lines? Yeah, that's why we do that, son. Hit it. Bounce back, gapped up, closed at the highs and the range lows from the previous ranges right here. Need more information. Need more information to confirm. Amazon.com. Makes new lows. Gaps up. Again, laggard. Probably wouldn't touch this with a 10-foot pole. So, CRM held the channel lows. Making slightly higher. You can see what I mean? Like, not everything is crashing. I mean, again, ugly chart, but over the last week and a half, when the market is like, bears are jumping out of their seat thinking they're in control, it's like, man, a lot of these names ain't crashing like they should. Guggen fills the gap. Takes out and engulfs yesterday's candle. Could it be a trend change? We'll see. Need more continuation. Metaphysics. Talked about high and tight. Probably going to get into the zone. Well, how crazy is it going to be when it lines up with the 100-day? Again, things that aren't bearish, but bears will say, oh, things that aren't bullish. I'm like, I see it both ways. Trying to be agnostic. That's the correct word, correct? Yeah. Microsoft. We talked about 235s. Jay Solstice was pulling that up. I'm like, yep, agree. 10,000%. Here he goes. Boom. Takes out the last 4 days, closes at the highs. Things that aren't bearish. Son of biscuits. Bah. NDAQ said, the stock isn't tailing over like it should. All right, maybe it comes back up in the 60s, mid-60s. That's where I'll be looking to short. Again, we took some profit. When we took the trade, this day, I was like, what day was it? It was like near 66. I was like, boom. Took some profit. Holding up. MicroStrategy, again, these names, it's retesting the lows. Interesting. Doji, I mean, I might put that on your alert list. If you think Bitcoin is going to hold 130, Bitcoin's going to hold the 16s. This could have a nice little rally up to the 150s, 160s. Netflix, you're welcome for posting this yesterday. Talked about watching the zone. Look what that happened. Boink. Boink. Now, does it go back up to the target zone? Yikes. Backside of the trend line? That would be sick. That'd be a sick short. Remember, talked about beat down city, tax law selling over. Peter Griffin. We'll see what happens here. It's holding up. Things that aren't bearish, right? Like, if the market's about to dump over, this thing should be holding near the lows. Good old Roblox. Playing games with my heart. What band sings that? That 98 Degrees or... I can't remember all those, whatever. Anyone who has listened to that stuff from boy bands knows what I'm talking about. Who cares? Talking about this action being tight. All right, well, here we go. Let's get back up into the 27, 28. I'll start singing a different tune. Tesla, you're such an easy trade. Look at the volume today, man. Easy, wish we had more. I guess sometimes, you wish it's that easy, but then it's like, I really wish we'd have gotten one more day down there to add some more, really cement that low. Whatever, hits and fills the gap. Not surprised it backs off. We talked about capitulation. We talked about how the media screaming short Tesla. Everybody's taking out credit lines to short this. It's like, all right, good luck with that. Watch this. Here you go. You're welcome. Said you could probably make a quick 10, 15%. Well, let's see what happens here. Where's the next spot? Well, clearly, Dan. Draw for us. Well, it's already drawn. It's the backside of this trend line. It's the fib off of this high. 0.382. I would said 140s. I mean, 40% off the lows. Terrible trade. Sorry I helped you out there. No donations necessary. Again, I appreciate it. You're learning a lot. If you're learning a lot and you want to donate, it's good karma, good juju. Again, everything comes back to you that you put out in the universe. Congratulations. That's all I can say. I'm not complaining about that. Didn't take any profits on this one because I didn't have as much as I really wanted. I mean, I'm looking for any dip to add with a stop managed trade. I mean, I don't think we're going to get 113, but if it does, call me, huh? Call me maybe. X. Talked about, all right, the market's dumping. Why aren't these names below the mid-December lows? Because they're bullish. Interesting. Holds up. See what happens. Keep an eye on it. Nucor, flat today. Some names are down. Holding support, very clear. Clear as daisies. Clear as daisies, right? You can see that. So, anyway. Sorry, so my wife's texting me. Kind of distracting. It doesn't look bad just holding that level. I think if you want to buy this for a trade, I think there's 5, 7, 10, maybe 15 points into it. The market rolls up. So is this. VALE. Talking about things that aren't bearish, right? Material names. Look at this. It's near the highs. It's near the highs. Kayate with that market's going to roll over stuff. Like, you got to look at all the evidence. I'm just telling you, man. Whatever. Moving on. Arrow. I mean, again, VALE not trading, but looks all right. Arrow, same thing. Like, if copper's falling, why is this holding up? Doesn't look bearish. We talked about even CCJ. Holding up. Doesn't look bearish. Congrats. Now, CF, now again, if you want to rip me for this one, I get it. I like CF because I know it moves fast. Fast and furious. It has potential. Could get bought out. Whatever you want to talk about. All right, let's see what happens down here. Now, cost basis, not ideal. Between 90, 87. Traded around some of the positions and added some more today. Maybe I got too much of it, so I'm blind. So that's my warning to you. So that's all I can say. It looks ideal. I mean, if I'm looking at other, if you go look at the monthly, let me try to pull up the monthly and the weekly for you. The weekly, you can see you got this candle here. You got some of these wicks down here. You got some resistance here. Pull up this is the monthly. Boop, 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 boop. You can see 985. And I said this days ago, and people were just, again, they don't remember. I said, don't be surprised if this gets into the mid-80s if it does. I was hoping that this candle would be it. Wrong. And wrong happens. Mosaic guided up today. Didn't react well. No. But tight action, decent volume. No, maybe. For this week, yes. Major reference. Doesn't look that bad. We'll see. NTR. This name should be at 71, 72. Look, it's holding up. I'm telling you. Something. Again, everyone's like bearish. And it's like, wow, how do you guys miss this? But I guess that's part of the market. It has to confuse everybody except us, potentially. Whatever. AA. You're absolutely welcome for this monster. Talked about yesterday. Well, first of all, let's talk about bought at 41. Said you could buy the retest. Boom. Sold some. Said watch this in the mid 43s. Green giant. There you go. Nice. Took a little off this today, hoping for a pullback. Maybe the 20-day around 45, upper 45s. There you go. There you go. It's that simple. That's right. Financials. Yeah, we talked about it. The market's going to roll over, they said. Well, the financials were holding up really well. And that's, guess what? The financials are making new highs off the lows. Suck it, Trebek. There you go. There's Sean Connery as Alex Trebek. Or, sorry, Sean Connery. Suck it, Trebek. JP Morgan, we talked about this yesterday. I'm like, this isn't bearish. JP Morgan needs to be getting throttled. Morgan Stanley again. Now, this is a laggard. We get it. But holding the 200-day. Bears, not sure what y'all are sniffing. I'm not sure what y'all are sniffing. Because, again, the evidence said it wasn't guaranteed. So, if you didn't take any profits yesterday and you stayed all in short, it's no different than staying all in long and not being surprised you get caught at some point. That's just the reality of it. And again, I know my favorite critics who act like they absolutely hate me, they listen to the whole video, and I appreciate that. That is so appreciated. But again, I still am willing to teach anybody willing to listen. Now, again, if you don't agree, it happens. Things that aren't bearish. XBI. Zigging right back up. Solar. Hello. Not amazing today. You would think it'd be up bigger. We'll see. Need more information. ENPH, you're like, shouldn't that be up in the 270s? Well, it got there, and then it came back down. Not as good. Sedgerton, same thing, kind of flopping here, chopping. Dropped too quick, too fast. First Solar, again, I said yesterday, I probably would take if you were scalping it, take it. There you go. Now it's probably going to rise with the market. Let me just roll up HYG because we talked about this yesterday. Making new lows, but holding the zone. Here you go, corporate debt. Yep, that's right. Sorry. Let's get to oil, gas, and be done with this. Oil. USO, chopping. Opens at the low, closes at the high. I mean, if oil's rolling, holding up, market ain't going to fall over, in my opinion. UNG, this ETF sucks when it's not working, and guess what? It hasn't been working, but notice the action intraday. It just makes lower lows, but it's clearly holding. We'll see. You're going to need some big natural gas push to get that thing rallying. I'd probably lay off of it. XOP, really praying. Pray, doesn't get it. Look, open low, closes in between. Might be an outside reversal setup for another day up. I mean, you need to get over the 138 to 140, but doesn't look bad, right? Just chopping. Again, bears acting like, the world's about to end. Well, it's like, show me in the charts, you stupid idiot. No, you know what I mean? Like, you got to see it in the charts. Like, usually the charts don't hide things, right? There's nothing hidden here. Like, it should confirm, right? That's what we talk about, probabilities, confirmation. Here's another one, ExxonMobil. Oh, the market's about to die. It's like, whoa, hold on. This thing's back at the high, Joe Blow. Not bearish. Here you go. Opens low, closes high. I mean, even if it just chops. These names, if they were bearish, they'd be rolling over. Oxy. Holding the low. Here fills the gap. Doesn't look that bad. We'll see. EQT. Piece of crap car. We talked about this thing being a piece of crap. I mean, they lost $5 billion in trading, or in revenue from their trading of derivatives. Terrible. Again, stock deserves to get punished. It has, but it's only back at references. We'll see. Ended it with PX Dizzle. The PX to the D, Z. It doesn't look bad, y'all. Oh, don't do that. Really wanted. Really prayed. Again, asked for Christmas. Asked Santa, like, when's the rally come in? Really want to see 203. Didn't get it. Then you had multi-day ranges. Things that aren't bearish, right? Like the market's rolling over and this is starting to roll up. Those same folks just screaming, the world's going to end. Well, guess what? We need to see the world is great and everybody's happy and excited about the stock market. And the market can only go up at the highs. Remember, at the lows, you got to be careful of bearish sentiment and high put volumes. Even if it's just a day, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, maybe a week, 2 weeks, those counter rallies can be rather aggressive to work off oversold, overbought conditions. All right, this is Dan Max, eXp Realty, aka the Trade Engine, here to help you out. If you have any questions, please reach out. Real estate stuff, y'all know, time to go shopping soon. Get the rates back down. I appreciate all the love, support, donations. Hope you had a great holidays. I mean, again, this week can be pretty tricky as you're playing out. Again, if you need help, don't be scared to reach out. And again, I really appreciate the donations. They mean a lot to me, no matter if they're $5 to $5,000. It shows you understand the value of the education, and you're taking it upon yourself because you see the outcomes. The people who don't donate, it's because, so not donate. What's the best way to describe it? Don't see the value in this. They don't feel like giving back, and I get that. I'd be the same way. And so it's like, if it doesn't show value to you, it's understandable. That's why it's never going to be required. Like, this ultimately is why 95% of the people trade or fail, and I talk about this all the time. Tiger Woods, Michael Jordan, Tom Brady, I mean, they probably could tell you how to be great at what they do. Could you do it? Could you execute it? No. So that's no different in trading. Like, guys, there were times when I couldn't execute what I thought seemed obvious, but I'm like, I got to be more right than execute. That's what happens. You got to be right versus executing. That at some point will bite you in the butt. All right. Talk to you guys and gals later. Peace. Hey, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, stop by the Discord room. A link is in the description below. Also, if you'd like to help support more free content, the PayPal link is in the description as well. I appreciate your continued support of the channel.